Yeah, every single company that I know is hiring at the moment. So I think that in these past 2 days, I hope you enjoyed the conference. I hope that you were inspired by other talks and technologies that you've seen. I think that conferences like these ones are great because like you can have an idea of what's going on in the market and stuff. But not very often we stop to think about our careers, right? We think about technology, but not necessarily about our careers. So if we fast forward, let's say 15 to 20 years, and you were looking back at your career, what would you like to see? So speaking to many developers, like I learned that not many actually think about that. And the problem of not thinking about that is that we end up making some bad decisions. Well, if we think that we spend a lot of time at work, it will be better if we spend that time well. And thinking about our careers, where we want to go, is essential for you to decide your next job, or even if your current job is the right place for you, right? So where do you want to be, right? So do you know how to get there? That's another thing. Because quite often, we look at other people, right? So I think that we have this strong, unfortunately, culture of celebrities, right? So we look at people on TV or doing some stuff, and we project our lives. Oh yeah, this person seems to be successful or doing some interesting stuff, as if it happened magically, as if they were better than we are. And that's never the case, right? Some people are, I don't know, they do something stupid and they get their 5 minutes of fame. But most people that got there, it would be interesting, because I had the pleasure to meet some of the people that how can I say, that inspired me. I haven't met them all, but I met a few people that inspired my career. And as soon as we speak to them, you see that they are normal people, but with a bit of a difference. We normally see where people are, and we think that they just happen to be there. But we fail to see, unfortunately, because we are not so close to them, how they got there. What were the decisions that they made to be where they are? It's not only about being smart. I believe that most of us are very, very smart and very capable. But I think that what most of us are not willing to do is to make sacrifices. A lot of people say, but I don't have time. Time is normally the best excuse, right? Because normally we use things that are out of our control. Because I have family, or because I have this, or because I live in this city. So we always push. Always use something as an excuse, something that is out of our control, so then we are okay. But it's very difficult. To achieve success without sacrifice is easy, but to keep that success is very difficult without sacrifice. And most of the people that I met, that I admire, they made a lot of sacrifices. And time, every single one of us have exactly the same amount of time, unless that you live in a parallel universe and that with different physics laws or whatever. But we all have like 24 hours a day. What changed is how we want to use our time. Where do we use our time? That's the only difference, right? So think about that. So how much sacrifice are you making, or are you willing to make? Also, like, is it even worth it? Because like having a successful career is not for everyone either, right? So I'm not coming here saying like there is just one path for happiness, if you like. But if your profession, your career is an essential part of your life, maybe you should look after it better. So, and this is, I think, that is a big distinction, right? So there is a difference between having a job and having a profession. I think this is massive, because quite often we mistake our job as if it was our profession. I think that successful people don't have, of course they have jobs, but First of all, they have a profession that is an intrinsic part of who they are. And their jobs are the way that they build their profession, they build their careers, right? So when we understand that, making sacrifices is a little bit easier. So a different way of thinking about jobs versus career is, imagine that career is like a ladder, right? So where you cannot see the end. It's too far away, right? So, but you know that you are going somewhere. So the jobs are steps in this ladder. So don't mix the two, right? So a career is how can I say, is made of a cumulative and diverse experiences. As you have different jobs and different experiences, that's how you end up shaping your career, right? So every time, the more diverse we make it, mainly at the beginning, the better it will be for us in the future. So experiencing different companies, different projects, different technologies, different team dynamics, different sizes of companies, will make our experience very rich at the beginning, which will generate much more options as we move forward in our career ladder. The problem with the career is that it's not as simple as a perfect ladder that just goes up with similar size steps. So it looks more like this. In fact, even this picture is not a good representation. For me, it looks more like a Google Maps. You know, like when I say Google Maps, you see all those different roads and junctions and stuff. That's for me what a career looks more. But when you are looking after your career, you don't always move up. So sometimes what we need to do is basically understand where you are, understand where you need to go, but sometimes you need to step back. The same way that we use a new technology. You are very comfortable with certain technologies, and sometimes you need to shift technology or shift different practice, so we need to step back and relearn a few things, so then we can move up again. A career is exactly like that. Exactly like that. We are always making this change. The only thing that we need to understand is that this place where we are going shifts, changes from time to time. As our personal situation changes, this also changes. As we get more and more mature, this also changes. What I expect from my life and from my career keeps changing. And that's why I need to constantly adapt my own career, right? So certain jobs are very aligned to your career. Certain jobs are not. So an example, when I think I've been in the industry for just over 20 years. The first 7 or 8, I was living in Brazil. And I was doing well for a person living in Brazil. It was a difficult start, but at that point, I was okay. So then I decided to move to London. So for me, it was not that I was going up and then went to London. No, there was a big dip because my English was not good enough. I could, I could ask, go to McDonald's and say, yeah, can I have a burger? And then it's with pickles, without, what? Pickles? So, yeah, so it was very limited. I could not be a consultant, for example. The technologies that I was using back in Brazil, they were not compatible in the market that I was going. I was working with Delphi. Back then, the UK was doing a lot of Java. And so I could not just say, oh, hey, I'm a Delphi developer and I want to continue where I am. I had to go back. I had to go and do a master's degree. So I had to invest in my career because where I wanted to go changed. I want to go to another country, do different things. And I was not prepared for where I wanted to go. So I had to step back and prepare myself for changing the ladder that I was going. So I have always been very focused. I always tried, since I was a kid, I was always like a teenager at least, I always have these ambitions. I would like to do this, I would like to do, not ambition, financial ambition. I'm not a person that focuses on the financial aspect of things, but what I could do as a professional and where I wanted to live, the type of life I would like to have. So I have always been inspecting, the same way we do with Agile, that we walk a little bit and then we stop and then we inspect where we are. And it's like, are we still going there? So we can recalibrate the direction, and then we plan a little bit, and then we go there, and then we stop again, inspect. And I've done that throughout my life. So, but not always I knew where I wanted to go. And there's no shame in it. I think that at least 3 times over 20 years, I had no clue what to do next. No clue. So, and when you are at that point, don't go crazy, right? So just stay where you are. Stay where you are, wait for these, how can I say, clouds to go away. Give yourself some time. So don't rush. You don't need to have an obsession. I think that extremes are bad. I always say that, right? So having an obsession that you need to be somewhere is also not good. It makes you unhappy. So give yourself time as well. So don't go crazy. But at the same time, so I don't believe that successful careers just happen. It may happen to some people. But most people, they work very hard to be where they are. And I think that they end up designing their career somehow. So they plan. So you should not, it's great to have a goal. I read a phenomenal article recently. I think I even tweeted about it. The difference between goals and habits. I don't know if some of you have seen it. For me, it was fascinating. So basically what the article, completely unplanned. I was not planning to talk about that, but whatever. Right? So that's more important. So a lot of people say, we need to have this goal. And they have a goal in their lives, in their companies, in whatever, right? And then they do everything just to achieve the goal. But once they achieve the goal, then they end up going back to where they were. Weight loss. Weight loss is a classical. I want to lose, I don't know, X number of kilos, 10 kilos, but in 3 months. And then you do all the crazy stuff to lose the 10 kilos. And once you lose the 10 kilos, in the next 2 months, you regain them all. Because what you were doing, you focused on a goal, but you didn't introduce good habits. And I think that this is what I'm talking about. So when you are planning your career, it's not only about setting a goal, but introducing good habits, introducing a space for you to be learning, to be constantly re-inspecting. So introducing good habits so that it will be much easier for you to achieve. So basically the goal will be a side effect of stable habits that you have. I think that's what I wanted to say. And I think that when you are designing your career, more important than actually having goals, goals give you direction, but more importantly than having goals, because you don't know exactly where you need to go, is establishing good habits of constantly learning, right? Of always going out and see how you can share ideas with other people. So those are good habits, right? Setting aside some time for you to constantly inspect and adapt, things like that. So goals change. So your goals will change. But if you don't have good habits, it will always be very difficult to achieve any goal. So another thing that is interesting is there is no right or wrong, right? So I don't think that we should all have the same ambition. So there's no such a thing as I want to be a manager, being a manager is wrong, or being a developer or an architect or whatever you want to be. There's no right or wrong. There are just different roads, right? So, and these junctions, and the thing is that we don't even think about those things. But every person you meet, every conference you go, every book you read, every kata you do, everything, every contact with the external world is a junction, right? If you watch a talk today, that could have been a junction. So like, oh wow, I got to learn about this new thing that I didn't even know. Maybe I think I like that. I could go there. And so our careers are full of these junctions. This is a junction, right? After this conference, you learned some things that may sway you to a different path. So there is just one problem. What we need to be careful. We don't need to worry too much about exploring different paths. But the further you go in one direction, the harder it may be to go back to a different direction. So a classical example would be someone that ends up going more towards the management side. Again, that doesn't mean that it's wrong, right? So, but the further you go in that direction, the further away you're going to be from other things. And imagine if you are driving a car and you drove like 100 kilometers. For you to come back, you need to come back 100 kilometers, maybe even more, because you need to do the return. And that gets worse and worse. So those are the things that you need to be careful. Another thing is, I think that we like to limit ourselves, right? So we look at ourselves and we reduce ourselves to something too small. For example, I am a Java developer, right? This is small, right? This is a Java conference. Of course, a Java conference, but it's small. We are not a Java developer. We are far more than that. We are a developer. We work with whatever technology. We are a developer that happens to like Java. But I am happy to work with many other things, to explore other things. So even today I was having a chat and so like, of the role of a developer in an organization. So we are not there just to write code. Well, you can, if that is the direction that you are taking. But this is very limiting, very, very limiting. You need to expand ourselves and be more complete. Well, it's not that you need to, but if you do, you will always have more options as you move along your career. So this is a thing that can be dangerous. This is a different way of limiting your career as well. So again, nothing that I'm talking here is right or wrong. What I'm trying to explain to you is after like just over 20 years of career, I've been in so many situations, in so many different places, that I learned a few things, and I worked for large corporations as a permanent employee, as a consultant before, even today, and you need to be careful. And I think that what you need to ask is, who is in control of your career? Or ask yourself like, am I really in control of my career? Or I'm letting my company, that is your job, that is just one step in your career, letting that company limit my career. Because if you are in a situation that you only learn what is important for that job, you only do what is important for that job, you are letting someone else control your career. If that's what you want to do, that's fair enough. But project yourself forward into 10 years, 15 years. I had this manager at UBS Investment Bank, where I used to be before we started our company. And I remember this guy. He said, like, he was an amazing guy, great guy, good friend. And he said, like, I envy you, like, and Mesh, my business partner, I envy what you're doing. Because, like, unfortunately for him, he put himself in a position that, although he had a great salary, great position in this investment bank, he's not his only option, but like his best option now is just to retire there, because like for him to leave, it will be difficult because what he's going to take away with him is so specific for that company that he has far less options now. So this is what you need to think. So if you are building a career within a company, it's fine, but think about, is this aligned to where I want to be, right? So I think that this is also true for coaches and trainers. I give a lot of training. I do a lot of mentoring. I do a lot of coaching myself. And this is a thing that's why I never wanted to have a business that is focused on training. I think that this is also another slippery slope, because if you only give training, what happens is that you become attached to those things. You limit yourself to those skills, and you think that those are the best thing in the world because that's what you do on a daily basis. And all of a sudden, the world moves on, and you are still there. And you lose touch with reality. So for people doing a lot of training, be careful with that, because sometimes you may lose touch. You don't need to focus in one goal. You don't need to say, yeah, I want to be there, and then tomorrow you're going to be there. Because if you do that, you are always going to be frustrated. Always, 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 right? Build your career one step at a time, and don't rush. Hopefully, most of us will live for many, many years. So you don't need to rush, right? And if you're not going to live too many years, well, we don't need to rush at all, right? So who cares? So that's a bad joke. So but the thing is, don't rush, right? Don't make yourself uncomfortable. I think that think about where you want to go and the alignment that your job has with where you want to go. A different way of thinking is that each job is an investment. So you might not know, but you are already running a company. Each one of you, you are a business. You just may not know about it, but you are. As soon as you put yourself out there and someone is paying for the work you do, you are already a business, right? So if you are already a business, you need to think about, you need to run a business as a business. So we make an investment and we want a return. So I will give my time and my knowledge, and for my time and my knowledge, I will expect a return. What is this return? It can be many different ones. Money is definitely one of them, right? We still need to pay our bills, but money doesn't need to be the main one. So certain returns, for example, you just need experience in a certain industry. So maybe your goal is to be more specialized in a certain industry. So any job that takes you towards that industry may be a good investment. In my case, concrete example, once I moved from Brazil to the UK, I wanted to work for a consultancy because that's who I am. That's the type of work I want to do. But my English was not good enough. So one of the steps back was I looked for a smaller company where it was safer for me to get friends, improve my English. And while I was there, I gave everything I had, careful not to mix an investment with CV building. They're not the same thing. Don't be evil. It's not about going to a company and say, like, I'm interested in learning this thing. I'm going to push all these things in there even if it doesn't fit, and then I just go out somewhere else. This is not good because then you are going to ruin your reputation. Because on top of those things that I'm talking about, there's also your reputation. Every single job that you start and you leave, this is accumulate as a career. But a career is not only you. You yourself don't make your career alone. Your reputation, you don't make your reputation. Your reputation is made by people that know you or worked with you and stuff. So if you do a bad job, if you do CV building, you will be damaging your future career. So careful with that. So what I'm trying to say about the investment is, like, while you are working with a company, you should give yourself everything you've got. And you should get the thing that you've got. And as soon as there is a discrepancy, then it's time to move to a different direction. But that doesn't mean that you had a problem. You just have a different alignment at that moment, right? So I think it's important for me to say because I carefully selected all my jobs, carefully. I could not choose, I want to work for this company, because in certain times I was not good enough to work for them. Some of them gave me a direct feedback that I could work on, others didn't. I had to figure it out for myself. But every company that I chose was I had a reason why I would change it. I don't get a job just because someone is offering the money that I want. This is a very stupid way of leading your career. I always need to know, like, where am I going? What would be useful for me as a professional? And then I would choose a company or a set of companies that could provide that to me, because then I would be very happy to give everything I can to them, and whatever they are giving me is exactly what I want. So do your research. So if I chose so carefully my jobs, why did I leave them? Right? So why did I leave my jobs? So that is the alignment that I was talking about. I had a lot of, for example, before Cogenius I had two jobs, right? So I had UBS Investment Bank and I had Valtech. That is a French consultancy company. Like the previous ones, they were some of the best jobs that I ever had. So when I left Valtech, which is a company that I still hold dear, and I still have great friends, I didn't leave them because they were bad. I didn't leave them because I want my money. I left them because what I wanted to do, I wanted to stay for a much longer time and had more ownership of a large-scale project. What I wanted for my career back then was experience across global projects. I had never worked with distributed teams. I had never worked in something really, really large. So what I've done, I looked for jobs that could provide me that. Not money, not that, but that experience that I was craving. I kept talking about agile and craftsmanship and all this kind of stuff, but can I do that at a large scale? Can I challenge myself and do that in a much, where one bug can cost tons of money? It's nice, our test-driven development, removing QA, but what is the cost of a bug? That's the environment that I wanted. So I looked for big companies, telecoms, investment banking. It doesn't need to be UBS. It can be any company that would offer me that. UBS was the same thing. I had a phenomenal time at UBS. Some people hated it, some people loved it. I loved it. I chose to be there, right? So why did I leave? Because after almost 3 years of one of the best jobs that I ever had in my life, the step that I wanted was to have my own business. And I thought that after almost 17 years back then, I was ready to have my own thing. So I left UBS, not because I don't like an investment, I didn't like my boss or the environment. It's because I wanted to go to a place where my employer could not give me. And sometimes some of the companies that I left, they changed their business. They shift what they were doing because of new investors or whatever. And then there was a natural misalignment. So think about that. So don't leave your company just because some small things. Think bigger, right? So what should we look for? So this is definitely not an easy question to answer, right? So I know that sounds a bit cheesy, but like one of the best answer is like, what would make you happy every morning? So if you need, of course, we need to wake up every morning and work, unless that you are, I don't know, you have a lot of money and you don't need to work, but most of us need to work. So what would make me happy? Fortunately for us, right? If I asked each one of you here today, if your company is hiring, okay, look, how many companies, like, is your company hiring at the moment? Just look behind you. Keep your hands up if your company is hiring. There we go, right? Fortunately for us, developers, there are tons of options. We need to be extremely incompetent not to find a job today. It's seriously. You need to be incompetent, right? So, and this is an opportunity. Imagine like how many people you have here, and this is just like a conference. Imagine how many meetups and groups out there. The answer is always the same. If you ask that in a meetup, in a Java meetup, in a craftsmanship meetup, and whatever, everyone says, yeah, we are hiring, right? So think about what you want to do. Where do you want to go? And go out there and speak to people. Don't use recruiters. They should die, all of them. They are a disease. They don't care about their dream job, right? So don't use them. Look at the hands that were up. Most of these companies would be delighted if you just went to their website and say, hey, I did some research, and I think that you are a good fit for me, and by the way, this is who I am. This is how you find a job. Go to the communities, go to a conference like this one, speak to people, so like, how is your company like? What do you do there? Speak to the real developers, to people that will be your peers. Don't just believe in all the bullshit that they put on their websites, because it's no bullshit, right? So every company is perfect, right? It's awesome. So don't believe on that shit. So speak to the real people. And then, this is the amount of options you have, right? So careful with the new job, because if you are not so selective, if you're just going through recruiters or say, like, I want this salary, and then you go to a job board and put your bloody CV in there, and then you become happy that you are receiving like 20 emails a day. I think that Jonathan, or like you ask people if they are receiving CVs. Everyone is asking. Yeah, of course we all receive emails for jobs. It's not because you are special. You are not, right? It's because there is a huge demand and there's a shortage of developers. So as soon as you say, yeah, I want a job, of course they don't care. Do you know how to switch on the computer? Yeah. Java, JavaScript. Sort of, yeah, not quite same. Done. You know enough, right? So be careful. I know it sucks to say that to think that we are not special, but that's the truth, right? So they said I have 15 minutes. I need another 45 at least just to get to the half of it. But like, so careful, because if you're just like firing your CV up or asking recruiters to do that for you, you will get not your dream job, just an old new job. So another thing, companies will lie to you, right? They are desperate. They want to hire, right? So they will look their company to look amazing, right? Every company is the best company in the world. Every company has the best developers in the world. So how do you distinguish? Recruitment processes are designed for companies to learn more about you, not the other way around. Which means that you need to do your job. And how do you do that? You look at I call it the metadata of an interview process. So you need to look at the metadata, right? So let's say, so when you want a recruitment process, pay attention of how the recruitment process is designed, who you speak to, how they offer, how they advertise their jobs, what happens during the phases. I'll give you an example. You are all Java developers or JVM developers, right? Let's look I'll give you an example of metadata that can help you. So this is a job spec. Reasonably new, like 1, 2 years old maximum, right? So this is like what I got that from, I just removed the names to well, yeah. You know, I don't want people prosecuting me or stuff, right? So, or suing me. So, but look at the metadata. Java developer, J2SE or J2E. Which year are we? Right? J2E. So you already start seeing that they didn't even bother to update. Either they didn't update this job description for 10 years, right? Or they have no clue what they're talking about. But that's fine. With SQL experience, well, all right. And then, of course, every company wants to be cool. And so like, yeah, but we need to possess a passion for technology. As long as it's Java, right? So yeah, you need to be very passionate. As long as it's Java, it's fine. And then you have the salary range. So as soon as you have a salary range, mainly so narrow, they have a cookie cutter thing. So you need to fit into this bracket. If you don't fit, then, sorry, not interested. So this is a bad sign. So because they are not open to invest on a person with a lot of potential, or they are not even open to invest in a person that maybe has a higher level of seniority. Basically, it looks like we have a quota. This is how much you can pay. If it's outside that, not interested. So they're not flexible enough. So this gives you a few hints of how they qualify people. A few other things, right? So skills and experience required. How many of you did not study computer science? A few hands. You are not good enough. None of you. Right? This job is not for you because you need to be very smart. So, and a way to know if people are smart is computer science degree, right? Apparently. So, 2-1. I have no fucking clue what that is. I came from Brazil. What is a 2-1? I have no idea. I don't know. Shall I apply or not? I don't know. So, 5 years of intensive Java development. Bloody hell, right? Yeah, you need to, for 5 years, you code like for 24 hours a day. God knows what that shit is, right? So, yeah, so that's how they measure seniority. They measure by time and not by experience. So if you don't have 5 years, not good enough. What else? Full software development life cycle. This is a great way to say, and we are waterfall, right? So that's what I'm saying. So the words that are used. So, and you can say, well, but maybe the technical people didn't write that. Even worse, because that means that the technical people are not even close to the recruitment process. That's the metadata that I'm talking about. So a few other things that are interesting. So I cannot read from here. Let's see. Oh, yeah, this is awesome, right? So let's see the things that are not essential. Basically, they don't care. But they need to put just to make it cool, right? So that's as soon as you say it's beneficial but not essential or not required, this is exactly a company say, you know what, we need to have some buzzwords because people won't apply. So put it in there, but don't make a hard requirement. So, and then they said agile environment, including TDD, JUnit, etc. So this is the classic, like, this bucket of shit that I don't care, I don't even know. So there is this agile stuff, and then I take TDD, there is one methodology, or one practice of one of the methodologies within agile, mix that with a framework, that is JUnit, that has nothing to do with and etc. You know what it is, right? This is this agile thing that we are talking about. So this already tell you the type of organization that you're going to find as soon as you join. Because if they were seriously about their practices, they would never write a job spec like that, right? And then, look, it gets better, right? So you will have, like, the lucky ones, we'll have a close interaction with the system architect, the Java team leaders, and the gods of the organization, right? You're going to work very close with the people that will tell you what to do. Basically, that's what they are saying, right? So, but don't worry about that. You're going to be talking to the people that are going to tell what to do, but you have opportunities, right? You have opportunities to expand your knowledge and on their banking and funds management experience and plenty of business exposure, because the career path is not development. Development is something that you do when you join an organization, and then you do the real world. That is the business side. So this is what this is telling you. This is not a company that are offering you a career path as a developer, because the main thing is that you're going to have the business experience, because that's what is important. So this is just the job spec. But I like, so yeah, must post. And then I like the way it starts. Must post has a passion for technology. This is where passionate people go to die, right? So that's the kind of organization. So a different job spec, right? So I actually use these job spec in my book, because this is from a company. It changed now. It's called 7 Digital. Their job spec's not like that, but I found it genius, right? So I even asked them for me to use and stuff. But I don't know how it is now, but it used to be very good. So they start, first of all, I removed it, not to be too long, but giving a description of who they are as a company, what they do, the kind of business, which is pretty nice. So then you know what kind of environment you are in. But then they start straight away, good working TDD experience is essential for this role. Bang, very opinionated. Some of you may say, yeah, but I don't like that. That's exactly the point. If you don't like that, you don't even apply. They state straight away, not a technology, but a practice, a way of working. And that's already the opinionated the selection process. Don't like that? Fine, don't apply. But that's what we value. And then you have the option, instead of saying this agile stuff that you may or may not have. So about you, love that section. You care about software. Your passion for what you do, actions rather than just waffly personal statements on your CV. They don't care about your CV, because I would love to be the person that is on my CV. Right? It's awesome. My CV is awesome. So wow, I wish I was that good, right? So then, like, for you, it's more than a job. I think that this is pretty cool. It's already start giving you a flavor of the type of people that work there. So then they describe the role. So they describe it as a cross-functional team, highly autonomous, no architects, project managers, or middle management. They already straight away, that tells their culture, their structure, right? So you work directly with our product owner in a highly collaborative manner. And I think that I like the most is like, this approach requires a huge amount of teamwork and maturity, and it's not right for everyone, but we believe it's the best way to create great software. This is an opinionated job spec that describes the culture of a company, and that's exactly what I'm looking for. If I disagree that this is a good way of doing software, at least I already know what they do and say, okay, thank you very much, that's not for me. But if this is exactly what I'm looking for, I will find what I want. So, and then, so among other things, see, they haven't mentioned technology yet. So pair programming, TDD, refactoring, so 2 sessions a week. So then they describe some of the things that they do. So this describes their culture, right? So, and then technology we use, not that it's mandatory, is that we use, because we also need to know about it, of course. So then they give, those are the most of the things that they do, in which technology and stuff. And then at the bottom, you say, We are also very keen on open source. We contribute to some of the technologies listed above, as well maintaining our own forks. And if you'd like, have a look at our GitHub. This is how we code. This is awesome, and they are also keen to explore other things. So this is awesome, right? So that's what I'm saying. So when you are in an interview process, look at the metadata. This is just the first level, right? Then, for example, some companies say, we have the best people. What does it mean? Who are they? Because if you have the best people, I want to know them. I want to know who they are. I want to judge it for myself. So if you are so proud as a company, oh, we are proud of our people, have the best people, put their bloody faces on the website if you are so proud of them, right? Because that's what a modern company that would be proud of their people would do. Because a company is not just a bunch of walls and desks and chairs. The company is the people that work there, and that's what they should put at the front. Not the photo of the CTO, the CFO, the back office and stuff. No, if you're a technology company, put your developers out there, because that's what is important, right? So how many phases we have? I'll need to rush up, because otherwise I'm going to be here for 2 days. But so this is also part of the metadata. How many phases do they have? Because if it's just an online test, don't even continue, don't even do the online test. This company is not for you. Well, it may be, but think if that is for you, right? So the amount of effort that a company puts in their recruitment process shows you the type of company it is. If the recruitment process is too easy or too small, they are just speeding up. Some companies say, hey, we are here and we want to hire 100 people, right? So careful with that. So see the selection process. See how they are trying to organize their stuff. This will give you a lot of clues of what to expect, right? So code submission. Sometimes a pain in the ass. Most companies are asking for that. But if they don't, do they replace that with something else? Because code submission sometimes is a pain, but at least someone is going to be looking at it. But if they are hiring a developer and they don't have something in their process where you can actually write code, I would be extremely suspicious about the selection process, myself, right? So if they don't have code submission, do they have pairing? Because even if they don't have pairing, I would like to do a pairing as a candidate and say, like, I want to pair with one of my future colleagues. I don't know if we're going to get along, right? So I think it would be awesome if we actually came down and actually wrote some code together. If that's what they're hiring me for, and that's the type of work that I'm looking for, I want, of course, that I want to sit down and write code with these people, right? So online coding tests. As soon as you start with that shit, like, forget it. So like if you have a generic thing that you go to online and say, oh, you need to do this thing here, forget it, right? So if you do that, sorry, right? But I applied for this newspaper. There's no way that I'm going to finish this on time, right, by the way. So,
No
so right, so I had this newspaper hiring for a back-end Java developer that goes back a few years ago. Well, that goes back a few years. There were 30 questions on online stuff, right? So all multiple choices for a back-end Java developer. I got 26 out of 30 correct, 86%, 0.6. There were loads of questions, 14 questions of applets. Who the fuck use applets today? Right? There is one person, right? Sorry about that. So was it you then? Was it your company? Right. Okay. So there you go. If you want an applet job, there you go. They exist. Right? So the thing is, it doesn't matter if it's applet or not. What it matters is what they were looking for. There's a backend Java developer and then an online stupid test with where loads of questions on applet, which means that people in that recruitment process, they didn't even think about it, just give them this random test. And when the recruiter, again, had a recruiter, right? Back then I still believe that they were good. They said, oh yeah, the company now is, they are talking to each other to know because they only bring people to the interview, the ones that achieve 90%, and you achieve, so basically, I missed for one question. And then I told this recruiter, so you know what? if they're still deciding if they're going to speak to me, let's make their lives easier. Just tell them to fuck themselves because I'm not going there anyway. So I don't want this kind of job. So I'm not going to be interviewed by a company that puts this kind of test in front that is not even relevant to the job that I'm going to be doing. So I don't want you to continue with the process. So 3 questions. People that ask these, what is it called, brain teasers and stuff. Google thought that it was a good idea 15 years ago. All the companies start copying that. And then 10 years later, Google said, yeah, in fact, it was a very stupid idea. Now we went, oh, shit. I think we changed that. We should change that as well, right? So applying for a job as a developer, you need to write code with the company. For your sake and for their sake, right? So, and not on the paper, right? So what you're going to do, get a scissors and cut the paper and to refactor the thing. So how do you do that, right? So anyway, so as I said, great teams are thorough and rigorous in who they hire. Of course that you can say, I want to join a good company, because that's the other side. I want to join a good company. I want to join a good team. But the question that you should ask yourself is like, am I good enough to join this team? What do I bring to the table? Because it's easy to say, of course I want to be there. Yeah, but you are not accepted in a group if you're not good enough. You need to bring something in, right? So I think I covered that. So go out and speak to people, right? Every company here is hiring. So go out and speak to them. Ask yourself, am I good enough? Right? Don't just think that it's someone else's responsibility and if they don't reject it, they are shit. No, no. Make sure that you bring something to the table. Right? So I think that I'm going to skip a few things. So I just wanted to say that this is where I started. This is a train station in a city in the middle of nowhere in Brazil. So this is where my father used to take me. That's what we could do. So basically there was not a lot of going on, and then we would just see the trains that we had like one every 3 hours or whatever that was, don't remember. So, and at that point I remember that growing up, there was not much for me. And coming from kind of like a simple background, let's say, with this kind of stuff. So every time that I was saying like, oh yeah, I would love to go out and see the world, my father would be quiet because like in his head, now I understand, like in his head, like he's going to be disappointed. How the hell is he going to do that? We cannot afford all these things. So we just sat there watching the train with my sister and stuff. But although we didn't have a lot of money, we were very happy. We had simple things. But I always had my ambition, and the ambition was never make money. The ambition was to do something interesting. It's to be someone. That was my ambition. That is still my ambition. It's to inspire people. It's to go there and change the world. I don't care if I'm going to get money. That's less important to me. Like so, but it's possible. But it's not going to come easy, right? Even if you're in the fucking middle of nowhere, right? You can do that. But you need to remember that it would be difficult, and there will be loads and loads and loads of sacrifice. Yeah, you won't see your family much. You need to, as soon as you make some, like, I want to invest my time in here, that means that you are not going to use your time here. There's no doubt about it, right? So if you want to go to a better place, you need to put the effort. And I think that growing up, it got even worse when I went to university, because like some of the people around me said like, I think that you're going to be frustrated in your life because you're not going to make it. Like you're so far away from where you want to be. So we cannot choose the people, like we cannot always change the people around us, but we can change the people that you choose to be around. So don't be around negative people, right? People around you should push you up, push you forward. And don't be your own enemy as well, because we like to put ourselves down, that we are not so capable. Don't be your worst enemy, right? So make sure that you plan, right? But planning, as I said, just having goals is not enough. Make sure that you bring some good habits into your life, right? So if you don't know where to go, fine. Go out and speak to people. No one is going to knock at your door and say, hey, I have this great opportunity for you. That's not how the world works. So Go out, make sure that you are available, make sure that people know who you are, speak to people, go to the communities, go to the conference, be available, right? So I think that this is self-explanatory, like money will come. Once you have this amount of companies hiring and this shortage that we have, and this is just gonna go worse, right? Money will always come. Just be good at what you do. And in our profession at least, I cannot talk about other professions, but our profession, money will always come. If you just be good, you don't need to worry about it. So try different things. Go to places that will stretch you. Don't focus on, oh, this technology is the best thing in the world, and you focus. Don't be a Java developer, right? Be more than that. So, but careful with the other end. Also becoming a massive generalist, you know nothing. So try to understand the world around you, everything that is available, but you also need to bring something to the table. So you need to have areas that you go deeper, right? And you need to refresh yourself. Most importantly, own your career. Don't let companies control it. Don't, if you are saying, oh, but my company doesn't allow me to go to, my company doesn't buy books, my company, fuck your company. It's your career, right? If they don't allow you, they don't, take holidays and use your own money. Buy your own books. Go, invest your time. Don't let someone else control your career. We all have, well, some people have families and other commitments, and some people have a very complicated personal lives that may get in the way. It's a shame, but for those that have a more stable, again, like, I'm not, people are different, but like, I think one thing that is important is, I see a lot of people saying, oh, this is my personal life and that's my professional life. I think that is sad. It's sad because I'm just one. And I don't want to have two lives. Right? As soon as you have two lives, you are splitting yourself. You are always in a conflict. Right? So you have a personal life, but you have work to do, and you have work to do, but you need to go. You are always split. And that's the difference between a job and a profession. When you have a profession and you care, this is part of your life. It's not a separate life. Your profession and your personal life, they are the same. And you need to figure out a way. And it's not easy. I have 2 kids myself, right? So it's not easy. But they need to be a single life. So your partners, your kids and stuff, they need to understand that you cannot keep dividing yourself. You need to find a way to make that work. But you cannot just say, I don't talk about work at home, or I don't let my personal life to impact my work. It's complicated to do that. I would rather find a job or a situation where you have a single life. So this is how a craftsman see our career. So we don't focus on a specific technology, right? We focus on being good, in doing good. And we know that it's a journey, and it's a wonderful journey. Like, what we do is amazing, right? So we developers, we are changing the world. Every profession we look around has a piece of code out of it. So code and hardware and software is completely leading the world transformation. Industries like doctors, like people, we are saving lives with software, right? So be proud of being a developer, because we have an amazing profession. So enjoy the journey, enjoy the path, enjoy your career. So design it, right? Think about it. Don't just get a job. Look for the job, right? So make sure that you use your next job. So everything that you've learned here today, hopefully it inspired you for you tomorrow. Start thinking, where should you go? So some companies that some of you work for, they are amazing. You should stay there. If there is a company that is aligned to where you want to be, or the skills that you want to get, you stay there, by all means. But otherwise, make sure that you know where you are going first before you're looking for the job. So, yeah, thank you.
Hello. Thanks for the talk. I think it was quite inspiring for all of us. I think we're facing a lot of situations. You mentioned something that really, people started applauding, like when we're saying that recruiters should be dead, and there should be a process in which we should all be more connected. How do you see like this problem that we all have to find jobs that are better aligned with us? Do you think that the HR departments still have a gap on how we should behave, or there's a lack in the industry that we should be working on?
So I definitely don't have all the answers in the world, but I know for sure that for me to find the next job, I wouldn't start with the recruiter or the HR department. I would start going out to the communities. For example, the things that I'm passionate about, fortunately for us, for example, I'm passionate about craftsmanship. There was no craftsmanship community, I created one. Creating one made me be around the people that have the same, similar kind of mindset. And then it's easier for me to go to them and say, hey, where are you working? It would be nice if you work together. And so even if your company is not perfect in that area, but I know that there are some people inside that care about that thing, so maybe if I join, we can make it even stronger. So I think that for me, I think of course, I prefer HR to do the bureaucratic law stuff. I don't think that, because of course, as you grow as a company, you have loads of laws, you need employment laws and everything else. So we are not good at it, we don't know these things, so it's important that we have someone doing that. I personally think for highly qualified professionals, I think that HR has less importance than for low qualified professionals. I prefer to do my negotiations directly with the people employing me or talking to other people, but that's me. And recruiters, unfortunately they are needed. Because of the demand, it's very difficult for us to reach, like for companies to reach a wider set of people, and also for people to know more about the companies. In fact, it's easier for people to know about companies than the other way around, right? So, but again, if you go out and do your research, if you apply directly, you have a much bigger chance to get a job than through a recruiter, because the company is, first of all, you chose the company is already happy, and they don't need to pay a lot of money. So,
thank you very much. Great talk. So, quick question about what's your take on open source? Because in my experience, by working on open source projects, it allowed me to not do interviews or do any kind of recruitment thing, because it allowed me to do whatever makes me happy, because I can quickly go and choose whatever open source project is there that it's using the technology that I want to build or something. And then by interacting with that, I've just been enabled to just choose whatever work I want because of only that thing.
I think that is one of the many avenues, and I think that is a very good one, because you are showing your technical skills to the world, and you are creating an environment or a community around that. If you are contributing to an open source, clearly you are very passionate about that kind of problem, and you created an environment. So you create an environment, being part of it, where you are in contact with people with similar interests. And then you build a network of these people, so it increases massively the chances for you to find a job in an environment that you're happy. So this is one way of doing that. Open source, as you probably know better than me, has its challenges as well, right? They can be very specific, or they can have a very high entry barrier to actually make a significant contribution, but this is a phenomenal way. Technical community is a different one, so technical events and stuff. Whatever you can do to go out and meet people, like-minded people, that's the way for me.
It should be included as another option in the presentation in general, because it is another option, and nowadays it's becoming more and more common, instead of just go and look for a job, right?
Yeah, so I think that my intention was not to list all possible options. I think that the main message that I want to give to everyone was, go out there. And go out there means one way, writing blogs. Another way, engaging in conversations on Twitter. Another way, contribute to open source. Another way, joining meetups. So there are many. As long as you go out there, you increase the chances of get the job. No one's going to knock at your door and invite if they don't know who you are.
Hello, this is kind of a personal question. Do you think that the current employment model, or even the society, is ready for a highly qualified developer as a real long-term profession? Because there's a typical saying like, you won't be coding when you are 40 or even 30 years old.
Yeah, they were saying that since the 60s, that you wouldn't be coding because COBOL would replace assembly and Fortran, and then it would be the death of developers with COBOL. So what's your question? Like, if the industry is ready for?
Yeah, for like assuming that you can have like 40 years old, 50 years old, really experienced developers?
I think that probably not everywhere, not in every country, but I think that in every modern country, I think that that's already happening. So it was less common for us to see, for example, my mom was a developer, so it was very difficult to see that. But now it's happening more and more, right? So young teenagers, they have their parents or relatives that are developers. So I think that the demand is so big that people are, they don't need to move to other professions, right? So I think that the market is ready, yes. I think that there are plenty of companies. Our company, even like our company, like the average age is quite high. It's probably above 30 years old. That's the average age of my company. So, and I think that you are seeing more and more of that. Mostly like consultancies are also investing with a lot of experienced people because they need experienced people to work with their clients. So I think that there are there. I think that the market is ready, but it won't be every single company. So some traditional companies, I think that one way to distinguish that potentially is like if you divide companies that see software development as a cost and software development as an investment and part of their business. So for the companies that see developers just as a cost, they will always try to minimize. If it's seen as a cost, they will always try to minimize the cost, normally employing less experienced and younger people because they are cheaper. In companies where they think that software development is part of their business and a massive investment, they would hire whoever is good. That's how I see it.
Any questions? No?
I cannot see it at all. All right, okay, so thank you.
Thank you.